What's up? It's Way Up with Angela Yee. Happy Wealth Wednesday.
Yes.
Back
Wealth
again.
Wednesday, back again. I feel like this is my second home.
Yeah. Nichole Pointdujour.
Yes, and she said it right, y'all. You hear that?
Yeah.
Pointdujour.
But AKA Nichole Harmon. That's how.
Yeah, that's how you know me. She's known me for decades, right? So Nichole Harmon, yes. Now I'm Pointdujour.
When did you change your last name?
I officially changed it, I want to say about a year ago. But I've been married for 2 years. So my husband's like, what do we...
No, I think that's interesting because, like you said, I have known you as Nichole Harmon for so long.
Yeah.
What was that process like? Because sometimes I think for women, men don't think about how, like, how people have known you, the branding that goes behind that. But now... Pointdujour sounds fancy. So
It does, but like you said, it's a hard transition because I've been on Wall Street since I was 21, and everybody knew me as Nichole Harmon. Like, you even knew me as Nichole Harmon. So even when I wrote my book, I put Nichole Harmon-Pointdujour, but legally it's Nichole Pointdujour.
Right.
But it was my husband who's like, we're married. Like, you have a different, like, you need to change your last name. But it was a hard transition for me because I was always known as Nichole Harmon. So I said, people aren't going to know who I am. They're not going to answer my email, like my friends.
I was like, who is this? No,
right. Everybody was doing it, especially at work. They're like, are you going to answer my email? But yeah.
Well, the first time we had you on here was early on in your business.
Yeah.
You are the master connector, and that's been who you have been all this time. But now, I've always been supportive of that because even in early conversations, just the way you've been able to link people together, link corporations and branding opportunities with people, that's definitely a skill that I think that you've always had.
Thank you.
You know, from when I first met you. And this can be something that also is a business.
It's a business, yeah. And you actually encouraged me because you used to always say, when are you starting that business? When are you starting that business? And I'm like, Ange, I'm just working. I don't know. I just connect people. You're like, no, this is a business. So thank you for encouraging me to step out there. And I just celebrated my 1 year anniversary on October 3rd, right? So for launching the business. But yeah, so literally I connect people, charge a fee for connections, but I also have an event called In the Room where I bring corporate executives, industry leaders together all in one room to help them get access to people that they normally wouldn't come across on a daily basis. And I interview a celebrity that has made it to do their career trajectory, to tell us their career trajectory. So you're my next guest.
Hey.
Yes, November 6th. But just to give people access to understand like what it takes to grow a business, right? How did you start from point A all the way to point Z and be successful at it?
And I think the other really important piece of this, because I know I'm going to be your special guest on November 6th, but another really important piece of this is being in the room with other people and making those connections. I was at an event over the weekend and somebody asked me, we're here and we're looking at all these panels, right? And there's people in the room, but like, how do we make this something that we can quantify? And so, and this was like a younger person who wants to be in media and is just getting started. How would you answer somebody that said, okay, I'm here, I'm in this room, but how do I turn this into more?
Yes, that's a great question. So people ask me all the time, like, how did you build your network? How do you know so many people? I tell them lead with value. So if you're in this room and you're meeting somebody, try to figure out how you can help that person before you come with an ask, because 90% of the people come and ask people for things. They ask me for things all day long, and I'm like, it's just little on Nichole. But when you're in that room, you quantify by one, figuring out how you can lead with value to them, what you can help that other person with, following up, and that is so important. When we go to these different events, we get all these business cards and they're left in our purse or in our pockets, or we put them in the trash, like we don't do anything with them. Follow up within 24 to 48 hours, 72 at max, and just say, it was a pleasure meeting you at the Master Connection Agency event. I would love to connect with you this week over coffee, Zoom, in person. I always tell people to do lunch because there's something about breaking bread and breaking barriers, which I talk about in my book.
Yeah, that's in the book.
That's in the book, yeah. Breaking bread and breaking barriers, where people let their hair down when they're over a meal, right? And you get to learn more about them. But scheduling that follow-up within 24 to 72 at the max to continue the conversation is important.
I agree with that, because at an event like that, when there's like 50 people, coming up to one person, asking for things, will you be my mentor? Will you do this? Will you do that? While you may be amazing, it's really hard for anybody to discern that just from an initial meeting. When there's a lot going on. People are pulling you in different directions.
Yes.
And so, yes, that follow-up is important. It's important to think about what type of value that you can bring to the table, because I think that it's also a job for you to be a mentee.
Yes.
Right? You're not just going to be absorbing from somebody, but you also have to be like, okay, how can I make this person feel like there's some type of connection where they actually want to have me around?
Exactly. And I also lead with do good business. Oh my God, Ange, like doing good business is so important, because just as good news travels fast, bad news travels fast. So when you get that opportunity, make sure you show up on time. Make sure you execute with excellence, right? Let them know what you can and can't do, because if you do a good job, they're going to say, oh, like you plug me all the time. This is my homegirl Nichole. Like, she does X, Y, and Z.
I'm like, Nichole, you know this person?
Yeah, exactly. Because I do good business. Had I not did good business, you would be like, I'm not, right? And so I think that's important. When you get the opportunity, make sure that you have all your ducks in a row to execute whatever the task is that they give you.
Let me ask you this, though. There's sometimes that people may personally not, like, let's just say, you know, let's say you didn't know me and you're like, oh, you know, I'm going to go on Angela's show. And they're like, oh, yeah, no, I don't really, you know, mess with her. She did X, Y, and Z. How do you discern when somebody's telling you something about a person, but in some way you're like, well, should I go find out for myself? Because they may not be my experience.
Yeah.
But then there's also that, well, you did get a warning from somebody who had a bad experience. Don't go in there and do something that you're like, dang, you know, she warned me.
That's a great question. So every day I pray to God to ask for discernment, because there's tons of people around me. There's tons of people that ask me for things, and literally I ask for discernment. And you're right. Just because they treated this one person that way may not mean that's how they're going to treat you, but you just go in there with that in the back of your mind saying, okay, I heard this and this about that person, but I'm going to go in and see for myself whether it's good or bad. So I tell people just to take the opportunity, because that might have been their one-off experience. And I also give people grace. Sometimes they may have had a bad day, right? And so just understanding, like, if it's a pattern, if you hear from 3 or 4 people, then okay, maybe we shouldn't do X, Y, and Z, right? If it keeps coming up. But for me, if I hear it 1 or 2 times, I'm going to go see for myself to make sure that person, you know, see if that person is what they say they are. Because sometimes people they'll tell you a story and they could do X, Y, and Z, and then you book them and it's like, wait, you don't do X, Y, and Z. Right? So sometimes I find out the hard way, but at least I gave them a shot to see.
Yeah, because that's always a difficult thing. There's so many people that, like, you know, don't get along with somebody, or they want you to not like somebody because they don't like them. And now you're like, you know, it's just a crazy business.
It's a crazy business. And your name speaks, like, you have to do good business. But you're right. There's people that, I have friends now that don't get along, but I'm like, that's between y'all.
Right.
Right. And I just try to keep the peace. So,
you know, and another thing, when we talked about the breaking bread and how important that is, and I see you always are like, you know, going to lunch, or one thing that you do a lot is you go out and support people. Like, if somebody's like, I'm going to be in Atlanta, I have this going on, you will pop out, even if you could only come for a minute and you have something else to do. Just showing your face, I think, and, you know, trying is important.
Support is so important. It's funny because Cynthia Bailey, shameless plug, I had a dinner with her, and she said Nichole is going to support no matter what. I got baptized, and she had an event, and I, like, came out the water, like, I'm going to Cynthia's
event. The water wet.
Came out the water, put the hair in a ponytail. I was like, I got to support my friend. But those things matter, right? Like, supporting your friend, posting their business on your social media page, showing up when you can't. If you did an event one time in Atlanta, I couldn't make it, but I sent my friends to support you.
Yeah.
So it's like, those things matter, because that builds a relationship, and it shows, like, Nichole's going to support me, so I'm going to support her too. And like I said, just showing up. But breaking bread, like I talk about in the book, is so important, where you have dinner with somebody, you get to understand who they are, and, like, feel like it lets your hair down over a meal.
Yeah.
So.
I always feel like we have a lot of options on who we can do business with, but we're always going to choose the person that we actually also like. If it comes down to, like, okay, you know, either I'm going to sit down with Nichole Harmon or Harmon-Pointdujour, right? They both are equally qualified, but I kind of like Harmon-Pointdujour, like, like I enjoyed being around her. And sometimes that can make or break a decision, where somebody's like, all things else, you know, taken into consideration, I want to do business with somebody that I actually like.
That's true. People do business with who they like and who they trust. And you already know there's people in your phone, they call, and it's like, oh my God, they're calling me, because what are they going to ask me for, right? And it's like, do I really want to do business? Or I want to deal with this headache, or they're always late, or they're like, just different things, that characteristics that people have. So that's why I tell people, like, do the good business, show up on time, and try to be a good person. Like, it costs you nothing to show up for your friends. It costs you nothing to post their stuff. It costs you nothing to support. So, like, yeah, people do business with who they like and who they trust. So.
Now, this is a crazy political time as well. And I want to ask you, how does this play a role into, you know, people actually collaborating and working together? Because sometimes if somebody doesn't morally align with what you believe or what you feel, that can put kind of like a hindrance, but you may feel strongly about something. Like, let's just say, I don't know who you're supporting, you know, in this office, but let's just say you didn't really like Trump that much. And somebody was a huge Trump supporter, right? And, you know, all up and down their page and very defensive of their president. How does that affect how you do business, or should it?
Yeah. So again, I come from the corporate world, and we're taught not to teach religion or politics. You can't talk about those two things.
You're from Wall Street.
I'm from Wall Street, yes. And so once I branched out on my own, I talk about God every day. Like, if anybody looks at my page, I always talk about God. I did want to say, in this climate, 365,000 Black women have lost their jobs since January. 365,000. And so I tell people that we need each other more than ever. You need to collaborate. You need those allies. You need people to help you and your business grow. Your network is your net worth. So if I don't agree with somebody's political views, I just try to, we don't talk about it. Like I don't really talk about politics because I think I'm brainwashed from Wall Street where you can't really talk about it. But there's like some companies that may sponsor my event, but may think differently than I think.
Right, the CEO might feel away, and now you're like, damn, the CEO of this person donated money to X campaign, and
yeah, it gets really, really tricky. I try to focus on the bottom line, which is helping the community. That's what I try to focus on. Like, are you sponsoring this? Are you bringing in your resources to help us get this event off the ground? I try to focus on that and not really get involved in the politics because, again, when you're in corporate, you can't talk about those two. So
now your business is a year old now.
It's a year old, yes.
But there's also been a lot of things happening with like rollbacks on programs and DEI. I want to see how has that affected you, or has it at all?
Yes, it's definitely. So again, the 365,000 Black women lost their jobs in this year. I was a Black woman. I'm no longer on Wall Street. I didn't lose my job, but I chose my business. But it does affect with sponsorship. So my last event, I had Amazon and Puma sponsor. Because DE&I changed, they're like, we're focusing internally. So that hurts with me trying to put on an event using those corporate sponsorship dollars. I do have one company that came in and was like, we're supporting you no matter what, and I'll announce them if you come to the room November 6th. But I'm just grateful to still have those connections to help sponsor, because events cost a lot to put on. So I'm grateful to have those connections. But it's hurt. A lot of people are hurting right now.
Yeah.
Because organizations that do sponsor DE&I are rolling it back, or they're focused internally, meaning that they're focusing on the Black and brown employees that are internal to the firm versus external events. I spoke at like 3 or 4 events, conferences lately, and they all said, like, we hurt this year because we didn't have the corporate backing. And it sucks because they have these great events for the communities to help us, right, grow our network, get education, information. And corporations are just like, either we don't have it, or our budget's cut, or we're, spending it elsewhere.
Now, you said you left Wall Street to focus on your business.
I did.
Tell me how that decision went, because I know there's people listening right now who are like, well, I have this side hustle that I'm doing, or I have, something that I aspire to start or launch, but I'm scared to leave my bread and butter. This is what pays the bills. This is how I'll be able to fund my business. How did you decide it was time?
Yeah, so as Angela mentioned, I've been on Wall Street 21 years, y'all. Ooh. That's a long time. That's 2 decades, right? And that's all I know is that security, that corporate check, the insurance, the 401k, all the things that come with
And then sometimes there's people who mess with you just because of that, too.
Exactly.
There's people that will, because you have a certain position, they're like, oh, we need to know her.
Yeah, and I was a VP, and I had a certain position. Like you said, I was in charge of a multi-million-dollar budget. So yeah, some people were. Oh yeah, around.
Don't be in charge of no budget.
Right.
Exactly. You'll have 1,000 best friends.
Oh, 1,000 best friends. But God gave me the vision, Ange. Like, it's just so God gave me the vision to launch this business a year ago. You encouraged me. Some other people kept saying, like, you have something special, launch this business. I help people now identify how to identify your gifts. Right? Because yes, you could be doing something as a passion project, but how do you get paid for that? So that's my calling that God put over me. It's called paycheck to purpose. That's what it is. Okay. Paycheck to purpose. But it's where I help people figure out how to identify what their gifts are and how to get paid for your gift, your God-given talent. God gives us a gift to give away, and that's how I monetize my gift. My gift is the master connecting people. I wrote a book on it. I have events where I connect people in the room. If somebody's saying I want to speak about something, I want to get corporate aligned, I know people at corporations that can help them get speaking opportunities. So I teach people now, like, don't be scared. Write it out. Get a plan. Stay at your job as long as you can to fund the business, because running a business costs so much money.
Right.
Oh my God. People don't realize that.
It does.
I have to pay extra for Zoom. Like, something I don't think about because my meetings are over an hour. Zoom is like, excuse me, over 45 minutes.
You're done in 2 minutes.
Done in 2 minutes, right. So little things that add up. You have to have trademarks so people don't steal your name or your copyright. So I tell people, one, you have to have funding. You can get business funding. Make sure your credit's right. But operating in your gift, it just feels so much better. So God told me, like, it's time for you to move. I have something bigger and better for you. And I was like, all right, God, you know what I can do. You know what my bills are. So I just took the leap. So
how has it been also, like we just said earlier, there's people that were your besties, when you have that budget that you can allocate, and then now it's kind of like a reverse where it's like, okay, I need to tap into some budgets, to get everything done that I need to get done. How has that been for you as far as realizing things sometimes about people around you, or do you think that in general it's been supportive?
So that's an amazing question. So for me, I actually felt like it was a breakup because I lost my identity. I lost my identity. I just feel like I lost my identity.
21 years is a long time.
A long time. Yeah. I was always the VP on Wall Street. Like, I've been that since I was 21 years old. And so now I'm like, well, the first thing people ask you is, where do you work? What do you do? Oh, I'm the CEO of the Mass Connector Agency. Well, what is that? Because it's not a big household name yet, y'all, yet. Mm-hmm. But I did have to look into that because I'm the strong friend that doesn't like to ask anybody for anything. That's me. Like, I don't like to ask my friends. I have some high-profile, high-powered friends, and I never like to ask. And I came to a point where it's like, okay, Nichole, you need to ask. Like, you have this business. See who's in your corner. See who's supporting you from the ground up. Mm-hmm. And my friends have been, I'm just grateful to God. They have been so supportive. Like you, specifically, you're like, I'm coming to Atlanta. Tell me when I got to be. Like, my friends are like, whatever you need, I'm there to support. So don't be scared to ask. Mm-hmm. And
you're right, because a lot of us, I think, feel like we have to go it alone. And sometimes when things are hard, we don't want to tell anybody how hard it is.
How hard it is.
And you just feel like I got to just grind it out myself and get it done and come through on the other side. Yeah. When it's okay to be like, listen, I get some help here? Like, I have this going on. You know, I ain't got the budget I used to have.
Right. And you'll be surprised how many people will help you.
Yeah.
Would help you.
You just got to ask.
You just got to ask. And what's crazy is I had that dinner. I told you, I mentioned Cynthia earlier, and I said, y'all, I'm not on Wall Street. I pulled my close friends together in Atlanta. I said, I'm not on Wall Street anymore. And they were like, all right, it's about time. Like, everybody was celebrating. I'm like, no, did y'all hear what I said? Like, I left this nice cushion job, right? And they're like, no, you're about to soar. I called ET. Whenever I meet your ET, he's like, oh my gosh, you're about to soar. Everybody was so excited for me. And I'm like, no, I just left like my comfort. Like, this is a comfort. You know, I was doing well there. And so I was saying that they all were like, well, nobody knows what's going on in your life. They don't know that you left for Wall Street. You need to be on social media talking about it. Mm-hmm. Cynthia specifically said, we need to know. We need to hear from you. And I'm like, you want me to go on there and tell my business? Like, that's how I looked at it. But I was like, you know what, y'all? I'm going to go on there and say, I'm a full-time entrepreneur. This is what I'm doing. This is what I've learned. This is how I can help you grow your business. This is how I can help you step out on faith. So, yes, I started getting on social media. I'm on the camera all the time now, just tracking my life and showing the trajectory of how I started and where I'm going.
Yeah. No, and I know that's what we're going to be talking about even more on November 6th.
Yes, November 6th. Get in the room. Yes.
And it is important to get in the room. And events like this, I always tell people, sometimes I know we could feel like, well, you know, is this something that I have to do for work? This is something you have to do for you.
For you.
Right.
I want to say one quick story. So one of my friends was on a panel, and high profile person, and I was like, I wasn't feeling myself. I just left my company. 2 weeks later, she's on a panel, and like Ange said, I support all my friends. So I'm like, I'm gonna pull myself together, go to this event. I really don't want to go because I'm just like mourning leaving Wall Street, but I go to support her. She comes off stage and she's like, you don't look like yourself. And I was like, what does that mean? I thought I pulled myself together. She's just like, you're usually high energy, like, you know, Nichole. And I said, okay. She's like, I'm giving you sister girl time. I'm taking you to lunch. We went to lunch. At the lunch, Ange, a girl walks over and she goes, I know you. But I'm thinking she's talking to my friend. Mm-hmm. And she's like, no, I know you. And I'm like, me? She said, yes. She said, I came to your event. And I said, really? She said, yeah. She's like, your event changed my life.
Oh, wow.
That's what I said. I said, my event changed your life. I said, how? She said, I'm working on a real estate project in Tennessee. It's a $2 million project. And I met a guy that does government contracting in the room at your event that's helping me with my contracts. And so it's like stories like that. I'm like, yes. God, I hear you. Let me keep going. Yeah. So
that made you feel like really energized.
Yes. I'm like, okay, God, now I'm on the right track. If your event changes someone's life and they get the opportunity to help with their business, that's why I created the room. So you can meet people that can get you to the next level.
Well, I'm excited to be there because I'm hoping I can meet some people.
Yeah, you got Angela. I got other people coming.
I'm trying to meet some people to get me to the next level. You know, I just I have that building in Detroit that I did, and we've been working on getting into a permanent mortgage. And I actually met this woman at a conference. She's from Detroit, but she works, she has a VC fund. And she connected me with another woman who runs the Opportunity Resource Fund, who helped us get in with the bank. Like, it was like a whole chain of things happening, but if I wouldn't have been in that room
to meet that person,
and I always want to make sure we give credit to the people that are, shout out to you, Shalana. Thank you so much for that. But awesome. I haven't even known her that long. And sometimes it's the people that you're going to end up meeting at an event like this who are like-minded, that are trying to win, that are trying to get somewhere, that are ambitious, and that have no problem helping you.
Yes,
and that you have no problem helping them either. Those, I know we feel like we have our friends who we grew up with, who we've known forever, but sometimes these newer people that are going to come into our lives are the ones that are going to really help us on the trajectory that we're on business-wise.
Yeah, it's easier together.
Open yourself up to it.
Yes, exactly. And I tell these people in this room coming here to network. Like, they're in the room saying, I want to help people. I want to grow my network. So when you come into this space, the guards are already down. The time is here.
That's what we're here for.
Yeah, we're here to help everybody. And so I'm excited. I'm excited that you're coming.
All right. Well, I cannot wait to see you guys. Where can people get tickets?
Yeah, so you can get tickets at www.themasterconnectoragency.com. That's my website. You can also follow me on Instagram at themaster_connector, and the link is in my bio. Hopefully you guys all come. Use code CONNECT20 to get 20% off. I'm giving that just specifically for Angela Yee since I'm on her radio show today. So get your tickets now. It's going to be a dope room. I'm interviewing Angela. She's going to give you all the tips on how she got her businesses, her coffee, her real estate, right? Mm-hmm. But you'll be in there with, I have one major corporate sponsor coming and they're bringing their executives, right? And so it's all about being in the room with those executives that have a seat at the table like I was, that can help write a check to sponsor your businesses.
All right. We love it. Well, thank you so much, Nichole. Always appreciate you. I'm looking forward to it. And I'm looking forward to seeing all of you in the room.
In the room, November 6th.